Kia ora. Black Friday was a few months ago now, but the year has only just ended. I had a very busy November and December period, and part of that was spent at the most magical place on earth, which tied into my Black Friday purchases actually, almost like I knew exactly what I was doing. My partner and I bought the Little Mermaid clamshell set, the excellent cute little Haunted Mansion micro build, one of those Disney castle things as well, but today I'm taking a look at the Walt Disney camera that released in 2023 as part of the 100 celebration releases. This is set 43230 Walt Disney Tribute Camera, which released in September with 811 pieces, 5 total Disney figures, 3 of which being minifigures, and was priced at 180 NZD. I bought this directly from lego.com during the Black Friday sale so that I could get my hands on the Magisto Workshop set, which was the first time that I've paid full price for a Lego set in a long time. Be sure to check out that Magisto review when you're done here. The set overview is a fabulous recreation of a Mitchell-inspired 1930s film camera, complete with special features and references for Disney fans. You also have one hell of a display stand for our minifigures here, who are all exclusive to this set. I knew that I would eventually be buying this gem because of how much I love the art form of film, and especially that golden era aged of Hollywood filmmaking, but that close to 200 NZD price tag, say it with me, a little bit pricey. I want to open on the great display stand that's included, which is the first thing that you actually build. I have here all of the minifigures lined up, so simply removing them first we can see the build. This great inclusion double, nay triples its purpose in representing 3 separate functions for the build. The build itself is a multiplane camera, which references the ingenuity of Walt Disney as a filmmaker. That is built onto a functioning clapperboard, a really nice piece of equipment used for filmmaking, and the entire display functions as a stand for your minifigures. It is a 3-in-1 build, and we haven't even touched the camera yet. The multiplane here features a small brick-built camera up top and a light reflector, which are looking down at the images. The multiplane is connected by these stamp pieces, and it can easily be removed from the clapperboard stand. It's a really nice build. I do wish those panels could be easily removed though to show you the key details here. It does look as though it could be slid in and out, but they are stuck here unfortunately. History lesson time. Walt Disney & Co. invented this super cartoon camera for helping them achieve their own perspectives in films. By filming a 2D flat image, they weren't able to achieve that natural realism in their worlds that they really wanted to get across, so they invented a new type of equipment that would give them that desired perspective they were looking for. They decided to take the 2D image and split the scene into different layers, based on the distance each element has to the viewer at home, as shown here in this nice little clip.
With our original picture broken down in this manner, it is possible to control the relative speed with which each individual part of it moves to or away from the camera.
So now they had control on the speed and the distance of each element, which creates a scene like this. That is some expert level filmmaking right there. And here LEGO included that very scene, and you can see the image has also been split into different frames. If the original clip here is to be believed, the image was split into 4 different layers. We can see the moon, the hill, the house, and the trees, but LEGO's only splits down into 3 layers, combining the house and the hill onto the same one. It's still one of the best things that I think I've had the pleasure of building in a LEGO set, I must say. Equipping that camera and reflector back on the display, I'll show off the clapperboard now too, which is a very simple mechanic executed perfectly. Clapperboards, for those who don't know, are used in filmmaking when signifying the start and end of a take, and they're used for syncing audio to your footage in post-production. It's really fun to play around with and would genuinely serve the real life function too if you really wanted to. But now it's time to take a look at our gorgeous camera, which to me resembles the style of the Mitchell cameras from the 20s and 30s era. It's not 100% though, it's likely an amalgamation of designs crammed into one. I'll say I'm disappointed at the lack of information that's given in the instructions about the history of this camera that was chosen here, which is how I came to the conclusion that it must be multiple ideas crammed into one. All cameras are best aided by the use of a tripod, and here we have a nice classic designed stand giving us the illusion of a working tripod. I really did think that this was going to give us some real functions from the images, but obviously no, these are brick-built legs that just look as though they could close up. I love the use of the multicolored parts here, which helps to kind of add some depth, but I do wish the design wasn't maybe so symmetrical to appear as though it had aged a lot. It's a nice piece complete with some cranks for tightening and loosening the legs. We also have some celluloid here that connects to the camera. I'll say one part that I am also let down by though is the lack of articulation on the model. One assumes that the build is just a bit too complicated to achieve such things like rotations, so I'm not too bothered by it, but I do really wish it was there. Instinctively, I find myself regularly grabbing the tripod's handle and wanting to just maneuver the camera around, especially that section there. I definitely think it looks as though it should rotate. I really wish it could, and I might even look into customizing the set myself so that I can make it perform the way I want it to. This leads us to the big build itself, which is this great big shadow box design with some really good extras as well. The talk of the town here is this amazing feature. The crank can be interacted with to recreate that iconic sound of film rolling. I think the camera's been sitting on my desk here for the past month while I work, and this feature has been played around with, I want to say, almost every single day. If you're wondering how they did it, I'll show you right now. The other side here features a viewfinder for the camera which can be rotated around, and it allows us to open the camera up and look inside. Instead of a faithful recreation of the inner workings of a camera, here we have a tiny office, which is an acceptable substitute for me. The office has a little desk and a chair, and on the wall there is a cone piece slotted into a Technic part against the wall, and that's how they make that sound effect. Be careful while building this though, the piece is intentionally not fully connected all the way against the wall, because otherwise it's just going to get stuck on that wheel, and it can only spin that one way as well. You can sit Walt at his chair, and of course his drawing can be placed on his table as well. This was something that they would also reuse almost as a gift with purchase, but it was missing the Walt Disney minifigure. As I close this section off, I'll show off the final parts here outside the box. If you try to open the door without rotating the viewfinder, it means it's not going to open. Located near the viewfinder is our array of lenses on a disc and a sliding matte box. The matte box is used to control the light coming into your lens. The box is built onto some Technic rods and some slider parts to allow control for your display. This is also how you can rotate the lens disc with 3 different options, but functionality wise again, the box only really works for one of the lenses available, but realistically you could just make your own adjustments. This leads us to the final part here, the top section, which does feature film reels sitting there doubling as a Disney 100 logo display. As many have pointed out in their own personal videos, the 100 here does make this stand out as no longer being an authentic recreation of a build, instead an advertisement for Disney 100. So simply put, if you remove that one at the back, problem solved. Now it just looks like a beautiful camera. Would love if the film reels were thicker and maybe removable, but this does look great regardless. And now for that film strip, which I think is what excited most Disney fans who aren't necessarily already convinced by the camera aspect alone. The celluloid film strip here is connected by pegs at the camera's back and by the tripod. If your camera had the film reel spilled out like this in real life, that's obviously not a good sign, so it's just for show here. Printed on the same material that they would use for wings, the film reel features famous cartoons that we all know and love from Disney's history. We start with Steamboat Willie from 1928, which as of January 1st is mine now, so I don't know how they got clearance for that, and it ends with Encanto from 2021. Yes, while being a set based on Hollywood's golden era, we do have quite a few modern inclusions for Disney. But pay attention to my words here, because this is fascinating. These all seem to follow an order of official LEGO release schedules, which could be a possible tease for the future. In order here we have Mickey, who we've seen countless times before, Snow White, who was released in the Disney Castle from the Disney 100 line, Jiminy and Pinocchio were in the CMF series, Sorcerer Mickey in that same series. Dumbo and Bambi are listed here back to back. Interesting. Cinderella, the castle, finally, and Alice from the first CMF series. And then we reach Sleeping Beauty, but specifically it's the dragon sequence. Think on that for a bit. The Sword and the Stone is represented here, as well as the Jungle Book, 2 of my favourites, and 2 that have yet to be represented in LEGO as minifigures. There's no way they released Baloo looking like that though, as much as I would love to see it. Robin Hood, he was released in the last CMF series. The Rescuers, come on LEGO, please release it like this. The Little Mermaid, Ariel, has had quite the attention from LEGO over the years, and then one of my all-time favourites and needs to be in figure form, Beauty and the Beast, and they look amazing. And another one of my most anticipated, because I would just love to see how LEGO would pull this off, again another need in LEGO, The Lion King. Mulan and Princess and the Frog were released in the CMF series, great inclusions. Frozen is included because of course it is, it's Disney's biggest movie of all time. And finally Encanto, which had a massive following on streaming after its release in theatres. The most represented decade here is the 1940s, 4 movies appearing on that strip, all of which released during a 3-year period. Other notable years include the 50s and the 90s, each decade there having 3 movies listed. The longest yearly gap between inclusions here was The Rescuers from 1977 to The Little Mermaid 1989. It's a 12-year gap there of movies that LEGO missed, which include movies like The Fox and the Hound, The Black Cauldron, Great Mouse Detective, and Oliver and Company. The strip does only focus on the animated movies of course, but Tron was also released during that time, just so you're all aware. The next biggest gap there was between Mulan 1998 and Princess and the Frog 2009, an 11-year gap, which I'm sure bothers some people because there's a lot of nostalgic gems in that mix. Ignoring the Pixar greats there, that's missing The Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis, Treasure Planet, Lilo and Stitch, which we all know is one that Disney cherishes faithfully, and a whole bunch of straight-to-DVD sequels to some classics. Yeah, my era of Disney sure was an interesting one. But now it's time to look at the minifigures. The big man himself, Walt Disney, is included for the first time as a minifigure, which, I mean, as if you needed any more reasons to pick the set up, and that's not even the end of it either. Walt is part of the few rare filmmakers that were turned into minifigures. In fact, in 2023, we saw 2 filmmakers represented in LEGO, and technically they both work for Disney. Walt features a plain boring suit here, a neat cartoon sketch, which he must have whipped up at the Animation Academy, and a platinum colored pen. He looks pretty good. I'm not super sold on that likeness though. I can't quite put my finger on what doesn't work for me, but it feels like it's a really decent custom job using parts at home, not a brand new specially made print for one man specifically. His ultimate expression is a happy open mouth smile, but I still feel the same way here as I do with the rest of it. I wish the hairpiece was different. It's close enough to Walt's look, but he had a bit more of a specific look going on there. Still, it is cool to see, and I can't imagine we'll ever get a Walt Disney figure again anytime soon, though keeping in mind, Disney do still have a ton of 100-year anniversaries to get through over the next 76 years, so we'll see. And we can place Walt on a nice clapperboard display here at the very front. Here is Mickey Mouse appearing in his now free-to-use look, not necessarily Steamboat Willie because he's missing his famous hat, but he does still feature the same art style as that 20s look. This is also a look that we've seen from Mickey before in LEGO form a few different times now, so the look may be waning on people. Speaking for myself here, I've always loved that look of the molded head that he has going on, and the black and white coloring feels really classic as well. For some comparisons here, like I mentioned, Mickey has appeared like this a few times now in LEGO's history. On the left here, I've got the Disney CMF Series 2 figure release, and on the right I have the LEGO Ideas Steamboat Willie set release, which I believe were released in the same year or close to it because we were all a little frustrated at that CMF slot inclusion. The biggest difference between the 3 here is just the colours provided really. Our CMF one is appearing quite brighter, he's more of a white than a grey. Our Ideas guy is a nice shiny silver edge look, which is why he's my favourite one of the 3 of course. Our new guy is a bit more dulled, more flat grey than the others. Interesting differences that I hadn't really noticed until I was filming. Mickey can be placed next to his creator on his side. And what's Mickey without Minnie? She looks really good to me, also using her 20s look from the classic cartoons. She's got her skirt piece in a grey finish, nice prints for those shoes, and a very expressive face, which is the first time that I've seen either Mickey or Minnie appear like this. She's still smiling, but her eyelashes are different here. Like her partner, she appeared in sets before in this style. She was releasing the exact same sets as Mickey and features the same colour choices as well. Like the Mickey Mouse figure, she is missing her pretty hat, but one thing that she does have above the other figures here besides the colour change are those eyebrows. I knew there was something different about her. We're gonna go ahead and place Minnie on the other side here, because here are your exciting inclusions for the new molded characters. Bambi, for the first time in LEGO here, appears to be a bit more of a Friends piece to me than something that would fit in with the Disney style of things, although still very stylized, so I guess it still does fit. Bambi looks like a great addition for a world of animal inclusions, and I think that this is the best possible way to release characters like this that we all want from a LEGO Disney line. Disney have a lot of animal themed characters, but releasing them as sole minifigures on their own may not work for that type of a release. I wouldn't complain, but they probably have a rubric that they want to follow. Bambi can be placed on a special section here that's big enough to fit both of the animals, because our final inclusion here, and I think my favourite of the set, is Dumbo, who is unlike anything I've ever seen before in LEGO molding, but it really works here. Dumbo has the massive ears that he's famous for, some different stylization that fits the same look and feel as Bambi there. Dumbo also has a small hole in the trunk that the princess figures usually have for their small hats and tiaras on their hairpieces. It might just be a factory molding technique, but it's interesting to point out. The way that Dumbo works here is that if I use the 1 in the 100 logo from the camera, you can see that Dumbo has 2 stud space at the front and the back of the piece, and almost so close to 3 in the middle, but it just can't quite fit. That middle red piece there would be slotted in between 4 studs on a square, and that's how Dumbo can connect onto your bricks. And Dumbo is then placed there on the other side, and the gang is all together. The box art for this one is the pretty Disney 100 Platinum design. My partner said that she never really cared for the theming, but I came around on it in the end. We have the Disney 100 logo on the side there. The Disney logo appears twice on the front side of this box alone. The figures are listed up top, looking very cool, and the film reel is sprawling over the sides here. The back of the box shows us those key features and the height chart. The features that are highlighted here include Walt's secret drawing room, the crank and the lens, and the multiplane camera trick. The instructions for the set is actually the box art, just with the background removed. It's not quite like those ugly renders that we're used to. Inside the manual we do have some really nice light reading, which I genuinely always love to see in the instruction manuals. It makes it feel like a bit more of a premium product than say the battle packs or the CMF series. We've got some quick words on the set and the features included, along with a short description for each of those features. The other side here shows us the film reel all straightened out, and we get a bit more of a clearer look at the movies represented in the set. Here though, we have the film titles and the years that they released, which is really great and helpful, especially if you're writing a review script right now as we speak. The other side here features some of the designers and what they had to say about their model. This is something that I would genuinely love to see in every single manual for a LEGO set, regardless of the size. I'm not even joking on that. I love hearing what the designers were considering and thinking about during their process of working on the product, and it's a shame that I have to spend a few $100s to get easier access to something like this. The rest of the instruction booklet though is pretty boilerplate stuff. We've got some images of the set all built up and some nice play features there, the inventory list, and that's about it. There's no other advertisements for the other Disney based products that released this year. This review has gone on for far longer than maybe I think it needed to, but it's only because I really love the set overall. It's a set that I didn't think I would feel that way about either. Usually, the really exciting sets like the Rivendell or the Indiana Jones Temple, you're prepared long in advance because you're just so excited to get into them, but this one really surprised me in the end. I think it's an amazing set for Disney fans out there, but I also think it's a really great set for cinephiles. The camera is a top set of the year for me, and the figures look great on top of the exceptional choice for a display stand. LEGO truly outdid themselves on this one. If you enjoyed this look at the LEGO Disney camera, liking the video and subscribing helps to support the channel making more videos like this. Ka kite anō, I hope to see you in the next review.